start with you, Tarun. Tell us what are the key ingredients to plan for a rich retirement goal?
You've got to plan, and you've got to plan early. You've got to be clear as you plan what are the lifetime goals that you will have, because I mean, ideally you should start planning as soon as you have a job. I know it sounds a little too early, but at least having a long-term plan on how you intend to, spend bulk of your money, and which will, help you figure out simple laws of compounding and the benefit you get. So you save lesser monthly if you are 25-year-old than when you if you suddenly start picking up for saving for your retirement at 45. You'll of course have to pay a lot more. The other big thing
Right.
is retiring. So basically, planning early. Planning first of all. Usually in the planning cycle, you do require advice, and I am a big proponent of taking advice and maybe even paying for it.
Okay.
Uh, Usually Indians don't like to pay for advice, but usually Indians don't are not competent. We've seen enough. Most of us are not to do their own financial plan. Hence, take the advice.
Mhm,
That's the other bit I would say.
mhm.
And other than just planning early, get your asset allocation also working a little smoothly and quickly.
So, Arpita, talking about the various changes that we saw, witnessed in the year that has gone by, according to you, how changes or things which were very dominant, like salary cuts, job losses, and reduced earnings, not just for salaried professionals, but also for the business fraternity, how has that impacted the concept or this whole process of retirement planning?
Sure. I think thanks, Pallavi. I think before I come to how it's impacted, the people like us, the watchers of this session today, relatively affluent, relatively informed, English speaking. But before that, I think I just want to take a step back and add one or two dimensions to this whole concept of retirement planning.
Mhm,
It's hit everyone hard. And I think if you were to just look at the EPF numbers from 25th
mhm,
March to about 31st of September, over a period of 6 months when the pandemic impact was maximum, about 39 lakh people withdrew about
mhm,
44,000 crores of money from their what was supposed to be the retirement corpus. So it's hit people, but I think it's been divided in. If you were to really look at it, there are corporates and households with strong balance sheets who have had salary cuts and who have had perhaps job losses and so on and so forth. But the weaker one, which doesn't sort of hit the newspaper headlines a lot, that hits it a lot less, which is corporates, which are SMEs with smaller, with relatively, more fragile balance sheets, and households with more. I'm not even talking about unorganized because there is no concept of they live from day to day, but the
mhm,
mid to low income households and these SME part of the corporates, they have been impacted really very, very hard. So I think so most definitely there's been an impact on retirement planning. I just think that it's impacted people like us. It's impacted people or households and firms with less with more fragile balance sheets a lot more
mhm,
sharply, and that's the globally developed economies countries have been able to put money in the hands of the consumers.
mhm,
India, with its resource constraint, hasn't. It's also about health.
mhm,
So, and sort of Tarun, I guess, will agree with that. Staggering numbers there, right? 86% of rural, 81% of urban, no insurance cover. And one interesting trend has been that health insurance growth has been faster than anything else this year,
mhm, mhm,
and more so on individual. Usually, it would be the corporates that would do the umbrella policies, but this year the individual growth has been highest, perhaps because of the anxiety about whether you'll retain your jobs or not. And coming to your specific question on retirement planning and how has it impacted people like us,
mhm,
I think at the very core of it, retirement planning is different from any other financial goal. So if you want to
mhm,
sort of plan for a house, you want to plan for an education corpus, you want to plan for an asset build out, your options are two. You can take a loan or you can save for it. Retirement is
yeah,
very different in the sense you can't take a loan for retirement. And therefore, the point Tarun mentioned, you really need to start early and you really need to put away some money, because beyond your income earning years, when you really need it, there is no loan that will come in and sort of help you out. But the investor behavior is quite the opposite. and which is what the number of EPF told you, that in times of panic, the first thing to get deprioritized is long-term goals. It's things like retirement. So that's, from a financial planning context, it makes it so much more harder because it is so many years away. It's something that you can afford to deprioritize without realizing that savings is about the only way it'll sort of get you there.
Since we're talking about this sudden realization and the significance of protective investments, not just life, but health as well, what are your views on that?
So there are various pots of risks that are there for you, and you need to plan for each of these risks. Health has come out as very uncovered risk. There is a risk of living long, which is a retirement bit. Then there's a risk of possibly maybe dying early and hence not getting your family covers getting in place. So that there's a risk of mortality. And long-term wealth creation, generally the Indian life insurance and particularly customers too would rather save some money for goals which are 5, 7, 10 years. So all these come into being, particularly when you talk about the pension goal. There are two elements to it. One is the accumulation phase and one is the deaccumulation phase. So accumulation phase is basically when you start putting money aside and start saving it on a systematic basis over a period of time in a disciplined manner. And I think Arpita correctly said that in these times, people would rather take care of the day-to-day issues today than bother about the future. And hence it tends to be, kind of ignored, which is a problem actually. And the deaccumulation phase is when you tend to annuitize it and cover your risk of living longer. Now today, these things are not talked about normally, and hence we find that the risk of living longer is not really covered. So that is one aspect which particularly needs to be covered well.
Talking about the different types of risk, reinvestment risk and longevity risk, these are the two big challenges for people who are planning for retirement. How can these be mitigated?
No risk can be fully mitigated, right? If all you can plan for things and hope it doesn't hit you back, right? From a reinvestment perspective, I would say that probably you can continue to stay invested all the time, and as and when the money comes back, right? Have your asset allocation. I think the most important thing people should be bothered about is asset allocation, right? And I've seen many retirees getting their retirement funds, right, and end up investing in high beta stocks, right, just basis some bad advice they get, right? Whether it's into highly volatile mutual funds or direct stocks, PMSs, right? Those are crucial years, the early years of your retirement, right? When you've got the money, and at that time, if you invest into something which loses your capital in a short period of time, right? If you are a young person, I think even if you have lost capital for some time and you stay put, then probably things will come back. But as you are growing old, your risk-taking capability and capacity just goes down massively. So you become more, I think, short-term than long-term. You don't have a luxury of waiting for 3 to 5 years. Because one, you are not busy in your daily schedule like a young person is, right? So you have too much time to think about. And if you think too much about things, then you end up taking wrong decisions at times.
Right.
So I think from a reinvestment perspective, asset allocation, I think, is the most important thing one should be worried about. And that's where I think whether young or old, everybody misses, and which I think creates the whole difference from a long-term perspective. If you have invested highly on debt in your initial years, right? Even if you have saved a lot, it doesn't help you a lot. While if you invested even smaller in equities, probably, which is probably in long term the best asset class, if you have done it the right way, then it can create a big difference in your retirement corpus in 20, 30 years.
For those who are approaching retirement, a fixed regular income as a replacement of salary is of utmost importance. In this, how can insurance play a role?
The annuity plan is the only plan which is basically covering your entire life risk. And there are different various kinds of annuity plans. The annuity plans that cover just you yourself, the annuity plans that cover you and your spouse, the annuity plans that cover you and your spouse till both are alive, that is. They're the third plan, the kinds of categories of plans are which cover you and then provide you the money back to your family, again, tax-free. So these are these various aspects around the accumulation and the deaccumulation phases of retirement.
Tarun, I want to take your opinion that there's been a massive shift to digitalization, not just the spending part, but the investing part as well. So how have insurance providers, adapted to this change?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And this has been one marked change from customers for sure. As far as life insurers are concerned, digitalization was happening all the way through. It was happening.
Right.
There was a lot of work that was going in various directions within this. Lately, of course, what has happened is thanks to a lot of acceleration of consumer behavior, and I call it acceleration. Whatever we were expecting will happen in 3 years now happened in almost 3 months. We've seen a huge uptake of digital services. A lot of innovations have come, a lot of things which we never imagined. I'll give you an example of our own bit that we've done. We figured out that our advisors are finding it very tough to meet customers because nobody wanted to, get you face to face, and usually you had to fill a form. So we use a tablet for insurance. Going into the pandemic, about 97% of our policies were anyways getting sold via a tablet, like an iPad or an Android tablet. But what we then did was we made this we made it a screen sharing tablet. The same application became a screen sharing, secure way. So you could actually land up buying a product from me, not by touching anything that I'm going to be showing you, because suddenly touching became an issue, right? How does the virus spread? That was a big issue. So you could be sitting 5 meters away, 500 meters away, 5 kilometers, 500 kilometers, and I can actually share your application form with you, and you can actually see what's going to happen. You can do a voice call with me there and then. You could actually initiate this entire process, which is entirely secure, on form filling, on getting all the brochures on a one-click basis there and then. And a lot of these things have come through, and like I said, digitization was already there, but a lot more money being spent on innovation, a lot more money being spent on data. So, if Pallavi, you were to come to us, we would possibly know a lot more about you as soon as you buy a policy. Data is available quite easily with life insurers, and hence with digital, there's a layer of profiling and data that is now possible, and hence being able to put the right product at the right time, at the right place, with the right channel to the customer. So lots of stuff has already happened in this.
What's your piece of advice to avoid glitches in long-term planning despite a crisis like this one?
I think it's a whole 9 yards, which is, without that, you can't really, in fact, you shouldn't really even think that you can do something there. So starting with a financial plan, getting advice with your financial plan, being disciplined, and like I said, you're getting onto a roller coaster, be clear, don't just jump off in the middle of it, you have to be there. Getting an emergency fund, I think that was talked about, that was a very good point, where, a thumb rule usually is that at least get 6 months of income lying aside as your emergency fund. Get yourself covered early. And of course, from a life insurance perspective, 2 key products. One is a term plan. Try to get that as early as possible, usually even before you have a family, sometimes even before you're married, because you can change your nominee, right? Your parents, and then later on you can move it to your spouse. And whoever it be, it could be both the male and female of the family. So both of them should actually do this. And the retirement planning, of course, ensuring that you are generating enough over the long term to get your pot of gold, and you're doing asset planning there, and being able to annuitize to save for your income, which during the unearning years of your life. So that's pretty much all of it. And in life insurance, you cannot go without a complete plan. So I may have stolen the thunder from the other panelists, but yeah, that's how it is. You just have to go the whole hog. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.